Hello again, everybody. Les East, Brian Allee-Walsh with NewOrleans.com. And Les, as we look at Friday night's game, there's obviously a number of things that are intriguing to all of us. Most importantly, I would like to start off this cast with I've recognized that shirt, and you look darn good in it, buddy.
Well, thank you. And I realize that by putting that hat on, you've completely changed your look from what it was on Wednesday. So I think that was a nice addition to the ensemble.
The more you can do, I've learned that covering this team, the more you can do. Let's get to some serious nature here, and that is the Friday night game against the San Diego Chargers. Third game, it's a game that means you're going to see a lot more of the regulars for a longer period of time.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird in that the third preseason game is one where traditionally the starters play the most. It gives you the best gauge of where the starters are at. And yet I still think the big stories coming out of this game are going to deal with the battles for backup positions and the final roster spots. Who's going to be the number 2 quarterback, who's going to be the third or fourth halfback, some depth at wide receiver and on defense, and certainly special teams, which is really going to be the theme of the last 2 weeks. Who is going to step forward and try and improve those special teams? So we'll see a lot more of the starters, at least for the first half, maybe in the third quarter, but ultimately it's going to be those guys fighting for backup spots and special team spots that I think are going to be the story coming out of this game.
One guy actually we hope we get to see is number 40, Liddell Betts.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to get some snaps as of the last time we asked Sean Payton that question. So it'll be interesting to see where he is in his recovery from reconstructive knee surgery. Another guy I want to see is 93 Octane, Bobby McCray. I want to see him actually do something out in the field. I'd say he's squarely on the bubble for this football team. They've got 5 defensive ends there. I think they're only going to keep 4, so it probably comes down to he and Jeff Charleston, and Jeff Charleston plays special teams, contributes on special teams, so he's got a leg up perhaps in that. But there's like you said, the safety, there's so much depth there that they're going to have to look at some players, and they're squarely, this is an important game for them, as will be the exhibition finale at Tennessee the following Thursday. But we hope to see Drew Brees and the starters through the first half, perhaps even to start the quarter, just depending on number of snaps. If you remember, a year ago at Oakland, I believe, was their third game. They scored at will against them, and they ended up playing no more than a quarter. I remember it's one of the few times I've tweeted it was such a boring game. But I'm anxious to see how this thing unveils, and it is a curtain call for a lot of these guys. Well,
and Sean Payton pointed out that the other night, in the game against Houston, at one point the offense had 35 snaps and the defense had 15 snaps. So if it's skewed like that at some point, obviously the starters on one side of the ball will stay in longer than those on the other side. It's all based on snaps rather than what period they're in and what time is on the clock. So it's hard to anticipate who you're going to see in there in the third quarter, but I do think once they're satisfied that Drew Brees has gotten the kind of work they want him to get, they're going to get him out of there. They want to get Pat Ramsey in with the first unit if possible and give him an opportunity very similar to what Chase Daniel had last week against Houston, so that's a fair competition to see who's going to be the number 2 guy and whether or not they should carry 3 quarterbacks or 2. Right after the way Chase played last week, I think carrying a third quarterback's more likely than it had been prior to that.
Absolutely. So, just a reminder, Friday night's game will be seen nationally on the local CBS affiliate, WWL Channel 4. And of course, you can hear it on the flagship radio station, WWL 870 AM, and the FM station. For Les East and Brian Allee-Walsh, I promise you, next time you see us, we will have a change of clothes and a fresh change of heart. Until next time, stay tuned with NewOrleans.com throughout the day and throughout the weekend.
No, that's like the first one.